Hey, my friend, this is Gary Hibbs from Unleashed to Lead. The word from the chair for this week is purpose. Not a really long word, but wow, what a weighty word it is. Finding our purpose. Who am I? Why am I here? What am I destined to do? Does my life matter? Is there significance in this life? What should I be intending to do? All of that is really important. And I don't know about you, but for a long time in my life, I just never really considered that. I belonged to a church and I believed in God, but I went day to day kind of looking forward to the weekends, or a lot of people look for the next kind of high, and it doesn't necessarily mean drugs or alcohol. It can mean that. It did mean some of that for me for a while in my life, but it can be comfort, whatever it is. But these pursuits that don't last, we kind of anesthetize ourselves, sports, or I know my week was made if my team won or lost. I mean, how dumb is that? How meaningless is the outcome of a sports event? So what is our purpose? Why am I here? Mark Twain said the two best days of somebody's life, you know what they were? The day you're born, and then the second best day is to find out why. What's the purpose? And even an atheist like Bertrand Russell figured this out. And here's a quote from Bertrand Russell. He was a famous atheist, and he said, "Unless you assume a God, the question of life's purpose is meaningless." Unless there's a God or a higher power like the recovery world talks about. If you follow the 12 steps, the second step is that there's a higher power greater than myself that can take me out of the problem you find in step one, where life becomes unmanageable. Even an atheist or the secular Alcoholics Anonymous and the STEP program conclude that there's got to be a higher power to have meaning. We've got to relate to some sort of higher power. But we're going to talk about purpose, and you don't necessarily have to subscribe to the same thing to be thinking about purpose. In Rick Warren's book, The Purpose-Driven Life, one of the best sellers, if you have heard of that, the very first sentence, paradoxically, is this, in that book, is it's not about you. There's something about self-sacrifice and not focusing on ourself, me, that gives us purpose. It's like, give and it shall be given. To give ourselves away, it shall return. What does that mean? How do you find purpose? We're going to be considering that this week, Sunday at 7:30. We always have a quick 30-minute meeting with like-minded people who want to start the week and maybe ponder together, forming a community, things that matter. And that's what we do. We talked about connection. We talked about community. We talked about clarity. And this week we're going to talk about purpose. So I hope you can join us and talk about purpose. And I do suggest that you read The Purpose-Driven Life by Rick Warren. It really is thought-provoking, even if you're not a Christian like he is. He's a Christian pastor. But it sold more books. I think this is still true. More books as a hardcover nonfiction book than any other book other than the Bible in history. So our purpose, what is our purpose? Why on earth are we here? Let's talk about that this Sunday at 7:30. I look forward to seeing you there. Thanks.